it's Jasmine, and I hope that you all are doing well. If you're new to my channel, welcome. I'm a practicing witch, and we do witchy stuff over here on my channel. And if you're a returning subscriber, thanks for coming back. Make sure to like this video, and let's get into today's topic. So a couple of you have requested to kind of do like oracle card tour, tarot card tour. You wanted to kind of see some of the cards that I have. I've gotten a lot of questions about divination. I've gotten questions about when I'm teaching the tarot training course again, when I'm teaching the cartomancy course again. And so I kind of wanted to just make a divination video, specifically like a card-based divination video, just to show you guys kind of some of the stuff that I'm working with and what's going on and what to expect for the future in terms of classes and things like that. So getting some of the boring stuff, I guess, out of the way. As far as classes go, right now, all the classes are available self-taught over on Patreon, which there's a link down below in the description to that. And there will be in-person and online classes resuming for you to be able to take. So definitely make sure that you check out the Facebook page, because if you check out the Facebook page, you'll be able to stay updated on all of the events. I'll probably post them here on YouTube as well, but if you follow the Facebook page, that's really the best way to stay up to date on classes, as well as if you would like to just take the material self-taught, then Patreon would be your option. As far as divination goes, right? Defining divination, well, divination is essentially the art of foretelling the future, spiritual communion, if you will, with entities, your higher self, angels, demons, gods, ancestors, whatever. And divination is a way, it's a form of scrying, and it's a way of looking into the future, or looking into your soul, and it can be a tool of reflection, as well as it can be an esoteric tool to predict future events. I definitely think, especially as witches, it is wise to, one, always do your due diligence and do your divination prior to doing spell work. I think a lot of people's hesitation about spell work, or what if this happens, what if that happens? Well, if you're doing your divination prior to the spell work, then you kind of have more of a foolproof way of what that spell is going to look like and what its results are going to be when you do the spell. Because sometimes, even the most advanced practitioners, there's always ripple effects. And any practitioner who is telling you that, you know, their spells are surefire 100% just this way without ripple effects is fooling you, because every time you cast magic, there are going to be ripple effects. Now, those effects could be positive, those effects could be negative, those effects could be what you wanted, and those effects can very much typically be foreseen using divination. So for me in my practice, divination is very important, especially when it comes to anytime I'm doing spell work, but divination can also be something really helpful as a form of self-reflection, and it can also be used when dealing with your shadow and doing shadow work and self-reflection and accountability, and using it as a way to kind of mirror your subconscious mind and kind of communicate with your higher self, as well as communicating, of course, with the dead or other spirits and entities. So there's multiple different varieties of divination out there, and I would encourage you to kind of explore as many as you want to. You don't have to stick to just one. You can practice multiple modalities of divination, and some people are more apt at some varieties than others. I really, of course, love my cards. I love oracle cards, tarot cards. I think that, like, who doesn't, right? Like most of us, I enjoy a good tarot deck. Hell, I even enjoy like playing cards and collecting playing cards, and cartomancy, specifically playing cards, was really kind of my introduction to reading tarot, because I learned how to read playing cards before I learned how to read the tarot per Rider-Waite-Smith language. My oracle decks as well, and I love how oracle decks, you can find them kind of on more themes outside of the box or more niche, and I really like oracle especially for that reflection aspect, daily meditation aspect, one card pulls. And I love to layer Oracle over my tarot. And I do that actually in my year spread, which I need to share with you guys. I know you guys have been like, oh, like we want to see the year spread. We want to see the year spread. I will definitely get that year spread to you so I can show you how you can do my year spread yourself. I think pendulums are super practical. You can literally use a necklace as a pendulum. You know, they used to use a piece of hair and a wedding ring. Tap into some divination, tap into your guides at really any moment. Runes are another popular system of divination. I personally use runes more so in spell work and sigil craft. I don't necessarily really use them as a divination system. They're just not really a divination system that have spoken to me necessarily. That's not to say that I might not use runes in the future for divination, but at this time, it's just not really a big part of my practice to use them for divinatory purposes. Spirit boards, Ouija boards, pendulum boards, those things. I love pendulum boards. I love using those. I have no issue with using spirit boards. I have no qualms about Ouija boards either. I think that a lot of the fear that people associate with Ouija is kind of a gimmicky, and I think that that was a great sales tactic to help sell the boards. And I think that there can be trickster spirits attracted to the energy that people put onto Ouija boards because people automatically view them as vile, evil, or corrupt. So I think that trickster sort of energy naturally is drawn to that modality, but I think especially like the Hasbro like Ouija board is such an iconic board, and I have no qualms with using one of those either. Most often I find myself though using Black Mirror scrying, my tarot cards, oracle, and pendulums would be some of the more popular forms of scrying, along with fire scrying as well, scrying into the flame of a candle or a bonfire. I think that fire scrying is a lot of our first kind of memories of divination. I remember, you know, being around a campfire even as a kid and just being entranced by the flames of a bonfire and feeling things coming from the flames and seeing things in the flames and really communing at that time consciously with spirit through the fire. Now, I didn't know that that was scrying, and I thought that, you know, it was something weird with me. I didn't realize that it was like a lot of people did this and that it was very normal. And it's hard not to get that enchantment by that flame dancing. I think it's also a huge misconception out there in the craft community that you need to be given your first tarot deck. I don't subscribe to that at all. I think that that's complete bogus. I think you can be able to go out and buy a deck that you like. I think that the important thing is just making sure that you're buying a deck that speaks to you. I know that I myself have kind of got onto the trends where certain decks get really trendy, and I've gone off and I've purchased them, and they really didn't necessarily speak with me, but they were really trending at the time, and so I felt like I needed to have the deck, and that's just really not the case. If a deck does not speak to you, if you don't resonate with the imagery, if you don't connect to it, then it's probably not the deck for you. And I would say really the one exception I have to this rule of only really using decks that speak to you would be Rider-Waite-Smith Tarot. I know that the classical imagery of the Rider-Waite-Smith Tarot cards can often come off as very dry, very bland, very boring, but Rider-Waite-Smith, RWS, is very much considered the standard when it comes to tarot, and it's highly regarded and highly associated with traditional tarot language. And that's the thing, is that tarot is very much an organized divination system, where the Two of Swords means the Two of Swords. Now, your intuition might piece together how the Two of Swords, the Empress, and the King of Pentacles all fit together, but the Tower will never represent the Two of Cups. And if you have, let's say, 5 or 6 Rider-Waite-Smith tarot readers in a room together, it's kind of a language in the way that you could kind of communicate by being like,
oh yeah, girl, so then it was like Two of Cups, right? Right. But then come to find out it turned into a Tower card moment. Uh-huh.
Someone who speaks RWS will be able to kind of pick up on what is really going on based off of what those cards are. And obviously the tonal inflection, but like you kind of understand what I mean. Versus Oracle, it's not an organized system of divination, so it really is more uniquely catered to the individual seer. That doesn't make tarot less psychic, that makes tarot more organized. And I do think that learning RWS can be really beneficial because it creates a very solid psychic foundation for you to be able to layer onto your own personal intuition and psychic abilities using any divination system moving forward. Learning some basic astrology can be very helpful as well. I always kind of joke and say that I feel like astrology is kind of like the binding glue of the craft. You will find planetary associations in spell work, in herbology, and multiple different divination systems. So learning kind of a foundational level of understanding of some astrology can really only benefit your practice. That doesn't mean that you have to commit yourself to being an astrologer, but having some basic understanding will definitely help your practice. So this I wanted to share with you guys is my new psychic journal, I guess you could say. My tarot journal, my psychic journal. And this was actually gifted to me for Yule by one of my coven mates who I adore so much. And I appreciate this gift so much. I think, you know, witches, we love journals. We love journals. I don't think we can ever really have enough journals, right? So this is what the front of the journal looks like, and the back. It's just a spiral bound book. So in here, I have my year spread. Essentially, you're gonna lay your cards out like this. Now, I would recommend that you use 2 oracle decks or 3 oracle decks and a traditional tarot deck for this specific spread. And I'm gonna break down how to do this. You're going to have your year card, which that should be your birth month and your birthday added together, plus the current year. So this is 2022. So this is a 6 year. So you're going to take the number 6 and add it to your birth numerology, meaning you're going to take your birth month, your birthday, and the current year, add those all up together. If those numbers are higher than 22, then you want to add them together again, and you want to look up and see what card in the major arcana is that associated with. Like, for example, if you get 13, then your card would be death. That's going to be your year card. Now, everyone as a collective for the 6 is having the Lovers as their year association. So your year card is how you're experiencing the collective consciousness yourself. After that, I like to pull 3 cards here, one for work and one for personal, so kind of like business and pleasure. One for your personal life for like the whole year, you know, relationships, friendships, social things, family, and then one card for business, fortune, finances, money, and then one card for spirituality. And you're going to pull those 3 cards, and that's going to give you an overall bird's eye view for the year. Moving on down here, you're going to pull 13 cards, and I would pull these from the tarot personally. And these are going to be 13 cards that go in line with the 13 moons in a year. And so you have basically one for each month. And then the 13th card is going to be this all in summary. So kind of like the back of a book, reading that summary page, that's going to be the 13th card. Now, don't think of this as 1 through 12 as January, February, March. Like, don't necessarily think of it as months, think of it as cycles. So it's loosely based on the months, but not necessarily. And, you know, pay attention to whether these cards are upright or reversed, and that'll kind of show you, you know, what you can kind of expect energy-wise to be manifesting around that time of year. And keep in mind, witches, if we see things that we don't necessarily like, we're witches. We can alter reality and bend and wield arcane powers. So if you see things in the cards that aren't necessarily desirable, you can definitely alter that, in my opinion. And I would pull 3 cards here at the bottom from your oracle. You're going to pull 1 card for your blessings for the year. What are the gods, the spirits, the ancestors? What are they bestowing upon you? What are you being blessed with? Then you're going to pull one for what is the lesson here. So this is something that you'll be blessed with through a lesson. So this is kind of like your trial card. And by going through these trials and tribulations, you will receive another blessing. But instead of it just being handed to you like the first one, this is one that you have to earn. And then this card here is your curse card. So what I mean by that is going to be kind of your obstacle, your big bad for the year. And so I would pull all three of these using Oracle. Definitely think that it's a really good idea to have some form of journal for your divination and for self-reflection. I think it's really important to be able to go back and look at, okay, what was going on with me this time last year, right? And I think if you're reading for the public, something for those professional readers out there, it's not a bad idea to keep some notes in a safe, confidential space, of course, in regards to your client sessions. That way, if you see them in January for New Year's and then you see them again in, let's say, November for their birthday, you can reflect and have notes and see what has gone on in the previous reading. So I'm definitely down to do more of an in-depth look at some of my card decks. Absolutely. I'm going to show you some of the ones that I have displayed here in my home office, and you guys can kind of tell me what you think. I've already done some flip throughs and some walkthroughs of some of these decks on my channel. Let me know if you enjoy those flip through sort of style videos in terms of Oracle and Tarot decks. I would be happy to do more. I'm just not sure which of these decks you guys would be interested in seeing more of. So comment down below and let me know. So just to kind of skim through some of this, I've already kind of showed a little bit of this earlier. This is the Anubis Oracle. And then I have the Isis Oracle, which I love, love, love this Isis Oracle. And I've actually shown this Isis Oracle before on my channel. This is an amazing Oracle deck and I use her often. I have this Crystal Oracle, which I got, geez, I don't know, years ago. And to be honest, this is not one that I use very frequently. I got this pretty early on in my practice when I was working at a New Age store. This is a Doreen Virtue Magical Unicorn deck, you guys. I was gifted this actually by a friend because I was really doing some, inner child stuff and working through some of that. And I was gifted this unicorn deck, which is a cute deck, but it is by Doreen Virtue, as is this Goddess Guidance Oracle deck, which I actually, this deck I really do enjoy. It is filled with divine feminine archetypes. It is by Doreen Virtue. I know that's kind of controversial. If you don't know, Doreen Virtue is essentially a big name in the psychic, metaphysical, divinatory sort of magical world, and she ended up denouncing all of it, and it was a whole big mess and a whole scandal situation. So that's that. You can look that up if you want to fall down that rabbit hole. I also have these universal wisdom cards. Don't really use those a whole lot. Was also gifted those. I've actually thought about possibly re-gifting those to someone else, because the thing about decks sometimes is when we are given them by our loved ones or our friends, or if we purchase them ourselves and we use them for a season, but then they kind of phase out. Sometimes I think they've come into our life for us to be able to give to somebody else. This one, I believe I've also done a flip through on my channel. This is the super kind of kitschy Spirit Halloween tarot cards, which I had originally bought these because I was thinking of using them at a festival, because if they fell apart, like, who cares? Or if they got wet, who cares? They were pretty cheap. And then I've also thought about using them for like Book of Shadows art. I just haven't gotten around to it. These two decks are amazing. I highly recommend them. It's the Gods and Titans, which is filled with pagan gods and spirits, and then the Goddesses and Sirens, which is also filled with pagan gods and spirits. This works really well as a set together. And speaking of New Year spreads, I oftentimes like to pull a Divine Masculine and Divine Feminine just for my overall year. They're just really stunning, gorgeous cards. They also look really beautiful on an altar as well. If you guys would like a flip through of either of these, let me know. This is the Dark Mirror Oracle, which is specifically a deck for shadow work. She's intense. She's really intense. Beautiful, beautiful, and she's very lunar based as well. So I have a flip through of that deck, so you should check that out if that's something that you're interested in. I have the Golden Tarot, which is a tarot deck that I use a lot, especially at festivals. She's been a tried, tested, and true kind of girl for me. Love her. I have the Ganesha Oracle and the Kali Oracle, kind of like the Isis Oracle. These sorts of oracles are especially great for working with these deities in particular and communicating with their voice and getting their messages in particular, or using their cards on a devotional altar. This was actually, I think, my first oracle deck, which was the Earth Magic Oracle deck. Still love this deck. It's beautiful and it's very neutral. So it's good for reading with for all types of people because it's just earth-based. So sometimes if you're reading for other people, if it's, you know, too angelic or too demonic or too pagan or whatever, like it can kind of be a turnoff. So this Earth Magic Oracle is really nice because it's pretty neutral. I have the ice variety of the bicycle playing cards, which I had the fire as well, but I think the fire ones kind of have fallen apart and I'm not sure where they are. I used to try to collect like all the elements of the bicycle cards, but here we are. This is the Barbara Walker Tarot, which I was gifted. And then I have the Heart of the Fairy Oracle and the Fairies Oracle. These both are stunning decks. They come with books, and this was very much kind of, you know, a time in my life where I was working at a metaphysical store. Now I work more at an occult shop, but I was working at a metaphysical store, and so these just kind of take me back to that time. The Fairy Oracle is especially nice to take out like into the woods when I'm hiking, and working with spirits of the land is really what this is kind of designed for, and actually taking the deck out with you while you're hiking. So I love using Crown Royal bags as tarot bags. I know some of you might think that that's kind of tacky, but I'm a city girl through and through, and these bags are amazing. They are some of the best quality, and if you're hard on your cards like I am, or if you attend lots of festivals, or you like to keep them in your purse and they get all beaten up, I'm telling you, use a Crown Royal bag. They have kept my cards better than any other bag that I've ever used. So in here I have like some witches runes. I have some of my most popular used tarot decks actually in these bags here. I have like a rune set, and I have just some odds and ends up here. I also have like a witch's trinket bag. This is a bibliomancy Ouija board book, where bibliomancy, like you flip through to get the message. I have my singing bowl, and then I have these cards up here. These are also my frequently used card decks. I have the Radiant Rider-Waite Tarot deck, and then these are the Divine Mask and Femme decks over here. This is the Tattoo Tarot, which is a deck that I love. It's gorgeous. I use this a lot. This is the Animal Medicine cards, which I actually just got these recently. I found these of all places at Half Price Books. I think I got these for like 12 bucks, but I really like these more so for spell work and altars as opposed to reading. Then this is the Witch Casket Oracle deck. And then I have the Stargazer bicycle cards, classical Rider-Waite tarot deck. This tarot deck was my first one, and I think my mom got this for me from Hot Topic, which is kind of funny. This is the Hermetic Tarot, and this is the Gypsy Witch's fortune telling deck. Now that this deck is very controversial, and I'm not even going to touch on that in this video. And then this is the Tarot de la Bruja, which is the Witchy Tarot deck here. I was also given this as a gift. This is really cute, and I've used this as Book of Shadows art because the cards are just so little and cute. Yeah, let me know what you guys think of this kind of tarot talk, divination talk. I'm not really sure what I'm going to title this video, but let me know what you think of everything. Let me know if there's any decks that you would like to see me kind of flip through. Let me know if you try out that year spread of mine. And I think for our secret hidden word that we're going to use in this video will be star. So somewhere in your comment, put the word star so I know that you made it all the way to the end of this video. And I know this one was a long one. I love divination, so I can get kind of long-winded, but please let me know. Like I said, if there's any decks that you would like to see flip throughs of, let me know. I'd be happy to do that. And check out all of my links down below. And until next time, blessed be.